I mean, Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte, without a shadow of a doubt, are the most successful Black male actors in Hollywood, if not the Western world, really until the 1970s. They are in leading roles. They are dignified, playing dignified characters, right? You think of Sidney Poitier in The Heat of the Night when he slaps that police officer, slaps him, and then he slaps him right back. You know, that kind of behavior, it just never had been seen on film before. So they are groundbreaking figures. But at the same time, the impetus that was put on them was to be clean shaven, clean cut, well dressed, well spoken. They couldn't even have a hair out of place. Everything had to appear pristine and polished. And while that doesn't appear on the face of it to be Uncle Tom, the reason why it continues the legacy of Uncle Tomism from the 19th century is because it presents an archetype of Black masculinity that, again, requires a kind of demeanor that is pleasing to the white public. So every kind of aggression is sort of suppressed. The reason why Portier can get away with slapping that white police officer in The Heat of the Night is because he slapped him first. So it just seemed like a natural impulse for him to respond. If that never happened, if he just walked in there and slapped him without any provocation, then I think that even that film would be read very differently. So, I appreciate their work. I've seen almost all of their films, but I always think to myself, what would their careers have been like if the legacy of Uncle Tom and even the birth of a nation and all those archetypes had never existed and they were just able to be freely expressive as actors and they didn't have that burden on them? I really do wonder how things might have played out differently. But they still stand as sort of the beginning of Hollywood recognizing that Black men can play leading roles. Of course they can. And not only that, they can carry a movie on their own. The reality is that Sidney Poitier and Harry Belafonte are the reason we have a Will Smith, a Michael B. Jordan, like all the people of the contemporary who are Denzel Washington. Like there is no Denzel if there is no Harry Belafonte or Sidney Poitier, right? It's like there's a complete lineage that you can see there. So we have to appreciate them. But one of the things I even tell my students, you can love something and see the critique, right? And that's the part of being a critical person. It's not an either or. Like these things can coexist. And I think that's what I try to do in the book when I talk about them, because I have mad respect for both of those actors. But I also see the bigger picture of how their iconography was taken up and sort of the legacy of the images that they put out into the world.